Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 4th day of August 2022. Well, it was 100 yesterday, so I guess we're not done with it. Although I've looked at the weather forecast and it looks like we're not supposed to have any more, but we weren't supposed to have that yesterday either, so I don't know. You just never know around here. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Let's go ahead and go over the esoteric influences for today, if I can find it here on the screen. Let's see. For the 4th, we have a 4 numerology today. So we're looking at foundation, structure, grounding, patience. Fehu is the rune for today, meaning it's a fire element rune. Wealth, abundance. It means cattle, life force. It's ascending energy for magical workings. It means growth and also success. But then we have Rubius for the Geomancy rune, which is sort of the opposite of the 4 numerology. Misuse of force, passion, evil, temper, overreaction. So the 4 is asking us to be a little more grounded, a little more patient, whereas Rubius Rubius energy is like, nah, and not having any of that. And so you're just going to have to be a little careful there today, and understand if you are feeling kind of at odds there, feeling that pull instead of the harmony, that may be what's going on. Jupiter is in retrograde, and it's also in Aries, so that gives us a little bit of a Mars influence. Retrograde, instead of Jupiter being expansive without, we're talking about expansive within. And so, and also with retrograde, you're going to be more reflective and think about things. So maybe think about how you manifest the Mars influence in your life. Is it are you doing it in a way that doesn't get the Rubius part out of control? Because Mars energy can be, it can be good, it can be motivating and initiating and all of that, very creative and all of that, but ill-dignified, it can be a little bit out of control and maybe manifest as Rubius energy. So you see what I mean by you've got some differences going on at opposite ends of the spectrum with the specific influences today. So reflect on where you invest your time and energy today, including your transactions with others. Excuse me, to evaluate whether or not you're accomplishing your objectives. In doing so, you may realize that you've been spreading yourself too thin with no real benefit. A new look at how you manage your time may be beneficial, as well as staying aware of forces that may be opposing you, even those that come within they're within yourself, because we can get in the way of all kinds of things, can't we? So it may be best to keep your plans to yourself to achieve your overall objective. That way you can eliminate challenges before they impact your progress. Keep to your routine to manage any resistance you might experience, and maintain your values when collaborating with others. In other words, don't go out on a limb with yourself or anything else. Just try to stay patient, try to stay grounded, and work from that level of energy today. So let's just move this over here and see where we are. I'll get my keyboard out of the way. So let's go ahead then and take our significator runes. We'll start with the one from the Elder Futhark. That'll be the above side, the as above side. And then the Geomancy rune will be the below side, or the ego side of things. Well, we have Vunyo. Vunyo is about fellowship and joy. It's about, how should we say this? It's the relationships that you have with others. It's peace, it's fellowship, harmony, happiness, success. But basically, it comes from within. If you look at the structure itself of Vunyo, that's kind of why I'm hesitating a little bit, because I'm wanting to talk about that. You see Kenaz here, reversed. I'll just draw it out. And you see actually 3 runes here. you see Isa, which is alignment, alignment in spirit. It's the rune of the static realm. It's a Norn rune. Here you have Laguz, which is flow. And here you have Kenaz reversed. Now, Kenaz is the light of spirit. It's also the torch, but it's the light of spirit turned inward. It's reversed. And so rather than expressing it outward to other people, you first have to flow in that whole higher awareness in order that you then can express that fellowship and harmony to other people. You have to achieve that inner harmony, that inner alignment in spirit. And so that's really what Vunyo is talking about today. Let's see what the Geomancy rune will give us, though. Well, oh, okay. Well, we have Pur, which is the little boy version of Rubius, really. Let's see, there's Puella. We can just turn that upside down if I can't find it. There it is. So when we talk about Rubius from the esoteric influence, that's an adult experience, okay, where you have really misuse of force. So that's really an adult thing. Here we have Pur, which is the little boy version of that. There's an evilness to Rubius because there's an intention there of trying to do things that really undermine other people, possibly, that try to control the situation when it's really not yours to control. But with Pur and then Puella or Puea, which is the also that's the little girl rune. This just means lack of impulse control. Now, does the Rubius grow out of this? Well, maybe. It just depends. But right now, this is just talking about little boy energy. It's youthful. It's kind of, and again, it's just a lack of impulse control. But it's a happy lack of impulse control. I raised two boys, and you know, they would do things, and they would just be thrilled to death about it, and I would be horrified. It's like, no, you can't do that. And so any of you that have raised little boys, you know what I'm talking about. There's nothing bad about any of it. It's just they're learning, and so they lack the impulse control to understand that maybe they need to go ask mom or dad first. They just go and they do it, and you're like, oh my God. And so that's kind of the influence there. So when you're talking about then Vunyo and a lack of impulse control, it just may be that maybe there's some boundary issues that you need to figure out when your expression of fellowship and harmony with others, especially with Jupiter in retrograde in Aries right now. You've got that Mars energy that's contributing to this. So just be aware. And I've already done a little bit of shuffling, but I'm going to do a little bit more. And we'll take the cards for today to give us a little bit more information about that. So I think realistically, you know, we're talking about maybe setting some different boundaries, more realistic boundaries in your expression of joy and fellowship with others. Maybe you might, with this energy today, astrologically, you might be a little pushy about it. Maybe we'll see, though. Let's go ahead and cut the deck, and we'll take the cards from the lower half. Well, we have two cards from the major arcana and an ace. So, I don't know. I think we're really talking about primal energy here. The aces are thought to contain the all of the components of that particular suit, and so it's the genesis of things. Well, in a sense, so are the cards from the major arcana. But with the minor arcana, you're looking at really the physical form after you've incarnated, whereas you could see the major arcana cards as soul archetype cards. So again, you've got but here you have the genesis of how it's all going to play out here in form. And with pentacles, you're talking the earth element, so that's the physicality of everything. Your physical body, your home, your family, your career, the environment around you. All of that is the ground, how grounded you are. We talked about today being a 4 numerology, with foundation, structure, grounding, and patience. All of that is contained within the suit of pentacles. And but let's go ahead and start with we start with judgment, and then we have the Empress. So let's take a look at, and I think the Empress is going to do well, is going to align well with probably Vunio here. But here we have judgment. Did we have judgment last time? Ooh, I didn't write it down, but I think we did. Didn't we have that on Monday? I forgot to write things down. I have through the 28th, but I don't see it there. So it must have been, maybe it was Monday. Here we have the 20th card of the Major Arcana. 20 reduces to 2. And so we're looking at, overall, with Empress is 3, so that's 5, and Ace is 1, so that's 6. We have a 6 numerology for the reading. But here we have the Angel Gabriel blowing his horn, resting atop some clouds. We'll talk again about this little pennant here, this cross on, or flag, or whatever you can, with a cross on it. But he's blowing his horn and awakening everybody out of their slumber. Everybody's rising up out of their coffins and raising their hands in supplication to the angel and to spirit. Judgment can be, to me, I don't particularly care for that word. I think that it's in other decks, like the Thoth deck, or Thoth deck, and also Heimdall, I think, uses it as well. They talk about it in terms of eon, and then I think the Druidcraft Tarot, I think they talk about it as rebirth. And that's realistically what judgment is. It's renewal, rebirth, awakening, transformation, being able to understand the bigger picture, the idea of when you die and you go through that time where you take the look back at how'd it go, what happened, and what'd you learn, what do you need to learn some more, and all of that. It's not a negative thing. It's not where you're feeling bad about anything. It's where you really start to understand how well you incorporated probably spirit in your life and higher awareness, or did you give in to ego the whole time? It could be simply either or like that, and just take a look at you basically gain the greater understanding. You gain that realization of how things were, but you don't have to wait for that moment to do that, right? You can actually find that better balance between ego and spirit right now. It doesn't mean you have to wait until the end and just, have some kind of a free-for-all in the meantime. Although Rubius today would suggest maybe that's what you're doing. I don't know, or maybe that's the influence here. But I think that we awaken to what the truth is, and we gain a better balance between ego and spirit. And then it takes us to the abundance of the Empress. She sits on a really interesting throne. It sort of reclines back, doesn't it? You see her shield with the glyph Venus there. She's all about love. She's got a beautiful crown on her head. It's a crown of stars. Actually, I think they're Merkabahs. Yep, they're Merkabahs. So again, there's still the soul coming in and influencing what the Empress does. We start out with the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess, and that's the genesis of who we're going to become. And then the Empress gives birth to that, basically, with the High Priestess being the subconscious or unconscious side of self, and then the Magician being bringing all of the elements together to create the body, to create the life, and all of that. with the Fool taking the leap of faith into form. But the Empress is she's the mother aspect of self. She represents the womb. She's actually pregnant in this picture, although it doesn't really show it as strongly as other decks do. She's about love and fertility, abundance. She's the receptive presence. She's about beauty with seeing the glyph Venus. It's all about beauty and passion. She's also very successful. But you don't see the lovers first, where you see the coming together between man and woman, or the receptive and projective side of self, or anything like that. The idea of mother, the Empress giving birth to the world, giving birth to creation, that comes first. It's interesting, isn't it? It comes first before the emperor. The emperor is essentially her consort, if you will. So in doing that, if we talk about how we engage with others in fellowship and joy, again, do we have strong boundaries where we respect the space of other people? If they're feeling like they don't want any expressions of fellowship and joy, are we able to step back and give them their space, for example? Are we overly harmonious? Are we pushy with it? In the case here of poor, are we in a position where we don't really see the effect of our behavior? We don't understand the bigger picture that judgment is essentially asking us to do. So if we're going to be doing that, if we're going to be expressing Vunyo appropriately in our life, we have to understand the bigger picture with judgment. We then express ourselves in the way the mother would do so, having that bigger understanding of the situation, of the effect we have on people, the having a more receptive type of a presence versus a projective. With the Jupiter retrograde in Aries, we're talking about something that is theoretically, without the retro part, you're talking about expansive Mars energy, and depending on how you do that, you can not have the boundaries that you need to have. And I think that the Empress is asking us to just take a step back and understand, be the mother in be your own mother, basically. And again, what does mother do? Mother sets boundaries, doesn't she? Getting you to understand that maybe we need to be a little more reflective in what we do. Maybe we need to be a little more observant, observe the situation, find the tone of the room, figure out what this person is that you're with, today, or the people you're with. How are they doing? Would they benefit by your quiet silence? Would they benefit just by you being there, or do they benefit by you engaging a little bit with them? What do they actually need? Instead of making it about you, make it about them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then we come to the Ace of Pentacles. I love this card because you're looking at a doorway, really, into new experiences, aren't you? Into abundance. You have the quintessential hand reaching out from the clouds. The Rider-Waite always shows this way. So the hand reaches out from the unknown, the unseen hand, basically, holding a coin, suggesting that the abundance that's there in our lives, if we just basically allow spirit to inform everything that we're doing. If we see things from that perspective, we can go through. Now you see mountains in the distance here, so it's not that there won't be challenges, there will, but at the same time, I can never tell what this is here. It always seems like you have to walk through this door to get that abundance, because whatever this plant material is, if it's weird looking trees or I can't, it doesn't look like it's really flowers. But they look weird, and so it's almost like they're in the process of dying, or not really there. But it's once you go through, you see the stone wall here covered by abundance, covered by, I mean, it could be like a hedgerow, really. But then you see the archway here that's covered in vines or some kind of bramble, maybe willow or something like that. Uh, uh, and it's almost like you walk through that in order to get past this sketchy stuff here. So it's taking that, again, that leap of faith into form, where you walk through it and you manifest the abundance that you need. Um, and I guess that's the thing. I think I want to take one more card. I may not need to, but I think I will. In fact, you know what? I'm going to take it from the top half. Let's do that. I just think that with Jupiter in retrograde right now, Jupiter's a very expansive energy. It asks us to expand within, expand inner awareness, basically. And I think where we have to be, and I think it's asking us to be mindful. Judgment also is doing that. It's asking us to awaken to whatever truth we need to understand. And I think it has to do with how we express ourselves in joy and fellowship with other people. Do we have healthy boundaries? Are we thinking about the overall picture? And how will we manifest that kind of, and how will that manifest into abundance in our life? I'm going to take the 13th card. Well, it's another Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. Again, the page is again, it's you have the Ace of Pentacles, which is the beginning of the suit, but then you have the Page of Pentacles, which is the beginning of the court. So like the Fool, like the Ace, the Page is undeveloped potential. And the Page is the student. In this case, this particular one has a spiritual focus. It's reliable, dependable, conscientious. But he's leaning toward the future. You can tell because you can see his foot is like that. So he's kind of leaning into things. And he's holding up his coin and offering. And he's holding it up high. So I think that really what this is saying is allow higher awareness to come in and guide your hand and guide your perceptions today, so that you can awaken to the truth of the balance between who you are as a soul and who you are as the ego or personality once you focus into the body. And make sure that you see things from a spiritual perspective. I think that the Page of Pentacles is reinforcing Judgment in that regard. Also reinforces the Empress, but I think it reinforces probably Judgment a little bit better. And so when you are going through the archway here in the Ace, I think that how you manifest your world, how you manifest your life in form, needs to take into account the spiritual side of things. And I think that when you do that, I think that it allows you to see things from a bigger perspective, a less judgmental perspective, one that awakens you to a higher truth. So when you are manifesting your experiences, you see them from that standpoint, as opposed to the reactive ego. You can look at poor energy as being reactive instead of, thinking about what they're doing. The little boy just goes and does, right? Because it seems like the fun thing to do. I watch my grandson. I have another grandson who's well, not quite. He's 6.5 months old now, but so not him yet, but the other one who just turned 3, he stands on the couch. He does this on the bed too. He'll stand up and then his legs go out and he sits down, and he jumps a little bit, he bounces a little bit, and then off the couch or off the bed he goes. Well, as long as nothing's there, that works out fine. But if there's a table there, then he tends to hit the table and he gets hurt, right? So he doesn't but he's in the fun moment of it, right? And he hasn't connected the two, right? To make sure that there's nothing there and the way is clear so that he can jump up, bounce down, bounce back up and go off the couch. I mean, it's adorable, and he's doing this at 2 years old. And I don't know. I think that being able to control, I think that's really the kind of energy poor is. It's where you don't really see the bigger picture of things and you don't really see the effect of your actions. And I think that in order to do that, you have to move outside the ego and move into the soul side of things. So, because the soul's going to have a little bit more together than the ego's going to have. The ego's going to go, oh, that's fun. Let's go do that. And soul's going, wait a minute. And that brings in the mother principle of the Empress saying, now, wait, you need to think about this. You've got to be safe. It's fine to play, but we can't go and do things that you're going to get hurt with and all of that. So I think that that's really, we just need to be a little more reflective today with Jupiter in retrograde, particularly in Aries, and think about a certain level of impulse control or boundaries that we might be lacking today. We might be a little too focused on doing what we want at the expense of other people. Maybe they're not really into it, There's times when if I'm feeling quiet and I'm upset about something or maybe even not really upset, but just kind of out of sorts, I don't want to talk about it. And I just want to have some time to myself. And so so having somebody come in and it's like being pushy about, well, tell me what's wrong. I want to help, that really doesn't help me in that moment. So maybe it's that kind of thing that will happen today that you might experience, where you want to give that compassion and understanding to someone, but they're just not ready for it. And so be able to see the overall picture, sense what they're going through, and step back and just say, well, I'm here if you need me. Right? That's an example of setting some boundaries. And so I think that's really what this is talking about. What you offer to others has to be from a higher perspective, and to be able to understand that maybe they're just not ready, and when they are, because you've given them that space, when they are ready, then they'll come to you, right? So, or not, and if they don't, that's okay too, right? Because it's not about you, it's about them. Anyway, I think that's it. I think we did it. It's kind of an interesting one. I like when I get, it's always fun when I get a series of firsts, when all the cards are like the first, whether it's a major arcana or the ace or the page. There's this sense of a different structure developing here. Something maybe you haven't considered before, and a new opportunity for some inner growth, especially with Jupiter in retrograde, could take place today. So anyway, well, that's really combining everything together today, isn't it? Well, guys, have a great day, have a great weekend, and hopefully, things will start to cool off a little bit. I know, I'm not sure at this point. It changes every few minutes here, it seems like. I check the weather app on my iPad and it's like, okay, it was just this a minute ago, now it's this. But I think we're probably, well, I hope we're heading out of the triple digits. That's really hard. It's very dehydrating, tiring. Now we're into the fires. We have fires around us now. Not close, but I opened the front door yesterday to go water some stuff and get some stuff for tea on the deck, and I went to water a little bit too, and I got hit with smoke. And so that's, but we're in that phase of summer here where things start to burn down, and so we end up with a lot of smoke here. So we're dealing with that. First the triple digits, now the smoke. So anyway, that's why my throat's all a mess. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by. Click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that, and give us a like. And come back on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Have a wonderful weekend, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.